Hey gals, guys, and everybody in between. Let's talk about confusion. And no, I'm not talking about the confusion that some people on the right seem to think that we have. I'm talking about the ones who say that we're confused, but they're the ones sprouting the actual confusion. So there was a store that I worked at for about 4.5 years. And for 2 out of the 4.5 years, I had a certain coworker. A coworker who was an evangelical Christian. Now, I have no problem with Christians. I was born and raised Christian until I left the church about 5 years ago when COVID started. But I do have a problem with people using their faith to back up their hate. I remember a conversation with her talking about the 2020 election and the future 2024 election because I did briefly work there in 2023. While we were talking about candidates, the idea of a woman president came up. Now, she did not like the idea one bit. She did not believe in women having power, especially if they're overseeing our country. Now, at the time, this was a very new conversation to me, and I did not realize that a sizable chunk of people on the right do not believe in women being leaders. Now, since then, I have regrettably accepted that this is indeed part of their plan, but that blew my freaking mind. Let's just take the 2016 and 2024 elections, for example. Two of the most modern, very high-strung presidential elections. We had Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris, both who ended up losing to Donald Trump. The people have spoken, and they do not want a woman president, not right now. Now, I don't know if you knew this, but there has actually been 24 women presidential candidates since the year 1874. 1874, we had Victoria Woodhull. Now, it wasn't until 1972, almost 100 years later and 50 years ago, that a woman got remarkably close in an election. Her name was Shirley Anita Chisholm, who won the Democratic Convention by 151.95 delegate votes. Moving on from history, let's go back and address the title of confusion. Now, some of you may know that I came out as trans in the summer of 2015 when I was 19 years old. But it took until around 2020 for me to start presenting as myself. It was at this time that I came out to my coworkers in the fall of 2020, but it's important to know that I have been going by my chosen name for the past 3 years of employment since I had been there 6 months. My legal name change as well as my medical transition didn't happen until the next year in 2021. Even though she was extremely Christian, extremely conservative, extremely homophobic, and extremely transphobic. I entrusted her with this information about a year prior when she started there. And here's the kicker. She still wanted to be my best friend. Now, it didn't make things any better that our schedule, everyone's schedule, was on the same sheet of paper in the break room. And for whatever reason, they weren't able to change my legal name on that document. So the things that she would say to me in private were along the lines of the following. I just wish I could have known you as a guy before you found this out about yourself. I like your birth name. You should have kept it. Or you're just confused. That's all this is. It's just confusion. I also remember talking about relationships with her and her being really confused, really confused as to if I were to get in a relationship with a girl and this girl wanted a boyfriend, why I wouldn't just become the boyfriend, or rather be the boyfriend without no questions asked. And I told her that all potential relationships do understand I would be a girlfriend. I did at the time and continue to be very transparent, all puns intended, with all my relationships, that I am in fact trans. And I actually haven't come across anyone who has wanted me to be the boyfriend. I don't know how I could possibly be a boyfriend. And so of course she was the only one that didn't address me as she. I know it's a big shocker. But we did have a coworker that was transitioning the other way, and she referred to him as he. So to me it sounds like respect only goes one way, and some people just receive the upper hand instead of the lower hand. I remember when I came back in 2023 for just a few months, and so I was actually 2 years into my transition at that point. I went to a wedding with my best friend and I posted the one picture, and in that picture I'm wearing lipstick. And she comments on it and says, "Is that lipstick you're wearing?" Now, I was a little confused as to why she was confused. I replied to her comment saying that I was also wearing a frilly green blouse, a pair of black slacks that were flare in design and had cheetah prints, as well as heels. Now, her response to that was utter confusion. She didn't understand why I, as a trans woman, was wearing women's clothes. And the only thing that I could finagle up in my brain was that confusion would actually be a trans woman who has B cups, hair halfway down her back, and quite lovely hips, went out and got measured for a suit, which I've never owned, found a dress shirt that somehow fit around my boobs, got a tie and figured out how to tie it, because I never learned how to actually tie a tie, I would basically have it pre-tied through a loop and put it on a hanger and adjust it when I had it on. And then somehow find a pair of men's 32 by 32 dress pants that could come up past my thighs and hips. I've seen so many trans men struggle to find pants that fit them correctly for this exact reason. You couldn't get me even close to a pair of men's dress shoes. In fact, you couldn't get me near any one of those things. So now can you understand my confusion when this person is the one who is both homophobic and transphobic, but wants to be my best friend, both gay and trans? Can someone please make that make sense? But yet, as much as she says that I'm confused, I still do go to that store and shop. And she comes over and asks me how I am, says hi, despite having had her blocked for more than 2 years. She still wants to say that I'm confusing. But it doesn't really seem that way now, does it? Now the question is, how would you react in this situation? Because I believe it only shows that confusion is more wild against conservatives. And so I'm going to put a cap on this video. I hope you enjoyed what I had to say. I think we're really getting somewhere on this channel. I think we're making a difference. So keep it casually authentic. Love, Andrea.